Hello and welcome to Fibers of Life and Business. I'm Joe Watkins. We're going to get straight into it. We're going to give you the title of the episode of 5. Episode 5 is Micro Moves, Massive Momentum, Many Habits for Your Weakest Fibers. So today will be about how little tiny habits that you can do practically in your life can have massive impact. And so that's the goal. I want to get right to some things today. I think what I notice about myself, and I'm sure you guys do about yourself, is that when we set these huge goals out in front of us, these BHAG goals, these big, hairy, audacious goals. I'm not knocking those goals. What I'm saying is oftentimes it's hard to ever reach those because we don't break that down into anything that we can do right now today that creates momentum, especially if it's in an area that we're not doing anything in. And it's our weakest fiber. It's our deficit fiber. And so today is talking about, think about your most deficit fiber: financial, intellectual, biological, emotional, relational, and spiritual fibers. What's your greatest deficit? And what are little micro things you can do today or this week that only takes a few minutes that can create momentum? We call this the mini habits, mini habit 101. It creates a little momentum into changing that fiber wholesale. And when you change one fiber, boy, it has multiple impacts on other fibers. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the energy spillover. We don't want to go too big. We want to start small. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about just a couple different ideas that I have personally done recently. So one of them is, and I shared a post on this today, is that a Bible study has been started in my local golf community. We go every Thursday at 7 a.m. And when I first got kind of invited to that, I didn't know how I felt about it. I was like, do I need one more obligation, one more thing I got to set the calendar for, get up a little bit earlier than I normally would? And what I decided was, I thought about this. I want to be intentional about my time and investments. I thought about, okay, if I can spend an hour in God's word and around men who are interested in God's word, that's an hour that I'm not spending scrolling on Facebook or TikTok or anything else that could just consume my time. And as we talked today in our Bible study, that when you're fighting against the world with your ideology, the more world you let in and the less Bible I let in, the more the world is going to win. And so if I can trade a little worldview for a Bible view, I'll do that all day long. And I'm telling you, in 4 weeks past, it's already been great. It's not even something I'm having to organize. I just get to show up and take a part of it. And that little habit of going to that Bible study is having a massive impact. Now, how can we do this daily? I've also begun to read a verse of the day as part of my Fibers of Life podcast and social media posting. So this verse of the day, which takes me no time, just a couple of minutes to kind of review and look at and think about, I kind of have a verse to think about, just one a day. And so if you can get a Bible app and you can get your verse of the day from a Bible app, that one little thing, it can automatically be something that red flags you on your phone in the morning. But this one little thing will put you a little bit closer in touch with your spiritual fiber. And so that's something I've done on the spiritual fiber that I think is important. And I think you can think about so many different other kinds of things. I think about how some people tell me they do a small prayer over a family member, over their wife, of their spouse, every night before they go to bed. I mean, what a great ritual, something that takes a short amount of time. And here's the interesting thing. It's the spillover. It's the spillover effect when you intentionally invest in areas that can affect other areas. So by my friend praying with his wife every evening, he's creating an emotional bond with her. He's creating a relational growth with her. And I would argue that if you're doing that right before bed, you're probably sleeping better at night. So you're impacting your health. And so these are just small things I think you can do. They're actually realistic. But look, just start with reading a Bible verse of the day. Another one I wanted to bring up, and this was, I've been on a health kick for a number of years now, and I don't want to call it a kick really, because I'm very intentional about what I'm doing. I'm thinking about where are the areas that I have spent, or that I have too much investment in things that are not good for me. And is there a way for me to change that investment? And so I'm using the term investment for almost anything you choose to do. So in health, maybe it's the investment in your time to work out. It's what you put in your body to eat. So in this case, the investment was coffee, right? I do coffee every morning. I decided that I was not going to get rid of coffee. That pretty much was going to be my decision. I tried mushroom coffee. I did try some things. I really love coffee, but I said, I put cream and sugar in it at high capacity every single day. So what can I do differently? I can just get rid of the sugar. It's not rocket science that sugar is not good for us. It raises our glycemic index. It potentially raises our likelihood for diabetes. And then they connect sugar, especially unrefined sugar, to so many other problems, health problems. So if I can make just one mini habit in my life to remove sugar, not everywhere, but just out of my coffee, could I make that happen? Well, so what I did is studies have shown that if you can spend 14 days doing a habit, that you actually gave it a real chance to see if it'll stick and what you actually think about it. And so when it came to coffee, I said, okay, I'm just going to drink it black for 14 days. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. And interesting, I really did not see this coming, but I actually started to like the coffee better probably at around day 10 or 12. Literally, I started tasting parts of the coffee that I've never tasted. I've only tasted sugar. And by 14 days, it was done. I was never going to put sugar in my coffee again. Occasionally, I'll put honey, but I actually enjoy the coffee better black. And now I buy better coffees. I drink it darker. I want the full body. I appreciate the European coffees when I go out of town. So this one habit that I decided to take on, and I didn't take on removing everything of sugar in my diet or getting rid of coffee altogether. I said, no, let's just get rid of the sugar and not the coffee. And let me tell you, now, this has been about 2 years. I wonder how many tablespoons of sugar less that I intake over this one intentional decision. Now, what does that do? I don't get jitteries throughout the day from the sugar crashes, because I drink coffee somewhat throughout the day, and that might be another one I need to work on, is kind of reducing the volume. But I don't get the sugar crashes. I don't get the long-term. I already had high glucose. I don't get the long-term effects of high glucose from that coffee every morning. So I felt like it was a singular thing I can do to have the greatest impact in my health, and in turn, I think from that I also create momentum in, okay, that becomes easy after 3-6 months. I don't have to think about not putting sugar in my coffee. Now, what's the next decision I can make in my health that's micro, that can begin to change my health? And I'll tell you just real quickly what the second one was I decided to do. And this has probably been 18 months, 2 years ago as well. Shortly after the coffee, I decided to just have a all whole foods shake mix delivered to my door that I didn't have to go buy. I did the research. I started with cassava. I now mix that with 2 other ones. So I have 3 different whole food powders that I mix in a big bowl, and that bowl lasts me for 2 weeks. And every morning I have a shake. I don't have to think about what I'm going to get for breakfast. I don't go through drive-thrus because I'm hungry on the way out, and my digestion got better. I feel better. I'm actually hungry for lunch. I mean, that one decision, now that took a little bit. I had to get the mixture right. I had to figure out a process and flow. Do I make the shake at night, or do I just make it as I go in the morning? And I figured that out, and it took a little bit of time, but now I don't want to go without my shake. And I know that a meal is spoken for, and I've never felt better. I have a better sense of energy and digestion, and all kinds of things have gone well with that. And that was, I think, compounded off of the decision for coffee. So this is how momentum gets created in a mini habit in one area, that I started the next habit in that same area. And I believe I'm capable of more. And so What am I getting out of that? I'm just getting more energy, and that energy leads to productivity. Productivity helps finances. Energy helps relationships, and et cetera. You get the point. And so that was just huge for me. The decision to just start with a micro habit. And if you haven't read the book, the Mini Habit book, I can't even recall the name off the top of my head of the author, and I should have that right now, but it is an incredible book, and it's got practical applications to what I'm talking about. And it's just little things you can do. If you're having problems with social media, well, maybe delete the social media account from your phone. I'm not saying cancel it altogether. Maybe you just take one of your accounts, Instagram, and delete it from your phone so you don't have instant access. And you decide, hey, you're only going to do that in the morning via your iPad. It's something like that. It's just many habits. And so just many little things that you can do to promote growth in an area. So that's kind of been huge for me. As we think about other ideas, I was going to give you a few other ideas for the other fibers that may come into play. If finances is your issue, I know we would love to have 6 months of finances in our account, as Dave Ramsey says, that we don't touch. It's the margin that minimal margin that we should have, and maybe you don't have that. And so how do you go about even going down that road? Well, let's just start micro. Just take $50 a pay period and stick it in a separate account that you never touch. Just start there. Or in short order, you're not going to miss the $50, then you're going to up it to $100. And then it just becomes a practice. And what you realize is it's actually when you prioritize what you spend ahead of time, you actually know where it's going. You'll find money you thought you never had. Maybe it's use a money software out there that downloads all your transactions that you can look at a glance, and just reviewing where your money actually goes. You would be shocked. You'll find that you're paying more for some bill, or you're paying for 2 accounts of Netflix. I mean, it's crazy what you'll find when you actually just take a look at it. So do something small to reveal something in your finances. An idea for intellectual. I've started it recently. I've never been a reader in my life. And I said, hey, I'm starting a podcast. Unacceptable. I have to read. And so I now read about 10 to 15 minutes every morning. Sometimes it's longer, but I try to get at least 10 to 15 minutes. And I do it while I'm drinking my coffee. Before, what was I doing? I was scrolling social media or catching up on emails. Forget that. I've decided that after making my bed, I'm going and I'm making my coffee, I'm getting my shake, and I'm sitting down on the couch. I turn all these lights on so I don't have excuse for my eyes getting tired. And I read 10 or 15 minutes. And really what that's done is created this peaceful moment in the morning to sort of prep my mind for the day. So emotionally, it's helping me. Intellectually, it's helping me. Obviously, that's the intellectual fiber. We're feeding that. But it prepares me for the day in a way that's hard to describe. It's only 10 or 15 minutes, and it's probably worth 2 hours. And that's the kind of investments I like. When I can spend 15 minutes and feel like I get 2 hours of the rest of me back, I'm doing that one. Emotional fiber. What can you do? What are some small things? You can, as you're driving in the car, say out loud to yourself, I'm feeling this way today. Sometimes when you name how you're feeling out loud to yourself, you actually can twist it, turn it, process it, and maybe figure out what's causing it. But when we don't do that, maybe we can't. And so maybe that's just the little mini thing you do on your way to work. You're saying, hey, I'm feeling kind of sad today. And then, tomorrow I'm feeling worried today. Well, then maybe the next mini habit, if you start doing that, would be, I'm feeling sad today because, and you put the because behind it. I mean, these are just many things, just giving you ideas. Let's move on to the relational fiber. What if every day you had one relationship that you checked in on and asked something specific, or you sent a specific encouragement? The how are you doing is not good enough, right? It's, hey, I thought about you today. You've been on my mind. I want to tell you that you mean the world to me. I appreciate what you did last week. Whatever. Something where you're sending a word of encouragement, or you're picking up the phone and you're calling someone you hadn't spoke to in a few weeks to just check in with them. Just a check-in call. Hey, I'm just checking in. Hadn't talked to you. That's real easy to do. It takes just a couple minutes. And that building of your relationship fibers and doing this across all of your relationships only strengthens your relationships, strengthens your network for other reasons. And we are made to be really in relationship with other people. We start with a relationship with God, but we're also made to be in relationship with other people. So we got to find our community. And so little things can do that. We've talked about spiritual, some ideas there. These are just cool ways to have many repeatable habits and the impacts of that. Now, we do have the fibers of business. And I mentioned this on the last episode, so I'm going to bring that up. The fibers of business is just to recall, is finances, innovation, beliefs, experiences, relationships, and stories. And I think these are all interconnected, just like the fibers of life. And we'll talk so much more about the fibers of business down the road. Boy, I'm just passionate about business, and you'll find that out more and more. But in these fibers of business, in your business, what's one thing you can do, one mini micro habit that you can try to create that will have an actual lasting impact in the business? So let's go down them real quick. Finances. Hey, maybe you're not the owner of your business who opens up QuickBooks and looks at numbers. I know a lot of owners that do not do that. Shocking when you do this and you start running actual reports and you start looking at information you've never looked at, it's going to reveal things to you that you didn't know. Maybe you just do that every day for, 2 minutes. Maybe it's just looking at 3 invoices a day because you never look at invoices. And put your customer hat on and go, hey, this invoice is not specific enough. We need to get more specific with what we detail out on an invoice. I actually had that issue recently with a plumbing invoice I got. It just had a one-liner and it was $3,000, and they installed some equipment. And I immediately called them and said, listen, I need to know what model number you put in that sump pump. I need to know the serial number. Give me some details. I need to understand what all you did. Maybe you're sending invoices out like that. That's not actually a good customer experience. So just do one thing, because you'll be shocked at what you discover just by looking at your finances. Innovation. Innovation has got so much going on with it, but maybe go to your team in your next team meeting, maybe it's once a week even, and say, hey, I want you guys to write down one singular idea that you think ought to be implemented in the business, and you can secretly give that to me. And maybe that's how you do it. Maybe it's one-on-one in your relationship conversation. Maybe it's you just sitting down in a blank space on a do not disturb on your phone for 3 minutes and just going, hey, what is the one idea that I want to process out? Because I don't even spend time to do this. So innovation is really incredible. I think creativity is a part of that. I think creativity is an underrated mindset or time spent in any business. When we get alone and get creative, we can really solve real issues. So maybe you do that. Beliefs. Beliefs is the B in the fibers of business. I don't know if you have vision or values that are actually printed out for your business, for your company, something that says who you are, why you are, and what you are. But if you do, and if you don't, that's another episode. But if you do, take one of those values and share one value with one employee a day. One value with one employee a day. What does that do? You're leaking what matters to you out to your people consistently. If there's nothing more important that a business owner should do with his people, it's share who we are and why we're in business. If they don't know that, then they're probably not in a position to give their very best for your company and be, doing what you really want them to do out there when nobody's looking. So, on the experience side, listen, maybe it's a call to a customer. I think all these things I've already talked about also touch experience. Experience is about really, what do your customers experience? It could be what your employees experience, but truly, what do your customers experience? They don't really care about your profitability. They don't care about how nice your office looks if it's not a retail space. Maybe the customer, their only view to you is through the website. Maybe that's the only way they know your business. When's the last time you looked at your website, maybe looked at one page and go, a customer's looking at this, is that a good experience? Or is that transaction and the way they get to me a good experience? I mean, these things shape businesses, and it's small. It's one page. Maybe you can get one of your people, go, hey, can you look at the one page and tell me what you think? I mean, it's small, but big in your business. Get to relationships. I think this is the most critical. Be intentional. Touch a client, touch a team member once a day. Just touch them. Make a phone call. Tell them how much their business means to you. Tell your employee how much their work and them showing up on time means to you. Give them one compliment. That's it. Just something small. Get in this habit. And what you're going to find is if you do that every day, you're not going to think of the next thing you can do as well. So these are huge. We go to the last one, stories. Stories really is the marketing, branding part of the business. That's what stories is. And I chose stories because I believe that in today's world, if your brand or your business is incapable of telling a story of who you are, what's important, and how that customer really cares, if there's not a story that can be told, then I'm not sure you're in today's world of marketing and branding. So stories is that fiber, and maybe you just look at your different components of your marketing, one tiny piece at a time. Look at the email that got sent yesterday to all your customers. Look at the logo that's on this piece of marketing on social media. Just do one thing, and from there you're gonna spawn off some things that probably need to be changed to create the story that you want to communicate to your customers. So those are just ideas that I wanted to share today in this idea of micro habits, mini habits directly in fibers that are intentional but very small, that create extreme momentum and really micro fiber multiplication. Let's just call that microfiber multiplication. When you do little small things across many fibers, you're going to have, excessive microfiber multiplication. So that's kind of what this is about. Now I want to give you a challenge. And I would love for you, if you've listened to this podcast this long, or you're listening to this on a short, the challenge is this. This week, pick 2 fibers, one in your life and one in your business, and design one micro habit or micro move for each. Just one each, one in your business, one in your life. Again, fibers of life: financial, intellectual, biological, emotional, relational, and spiritual. And the fibers of business: finances, innovations, beliefs, experiences, relationships, and stories. So if you just pick one fiber and one micro move in each, and do that this week, and do it every day this week, I think you'll have radical shifts. And what I want to know, and this is what I want to know, I want you to send me messages. I want you to comment on these posts and give me what those one micro habits are in each of the fibers. I want a bunch of them. If I can get hundreds of them, this is what I want. I want to see them. I want to respond to them. I want to applaud you, because that's what the fibers of life and business is all about. And I really thank you for listening to episode 5. This is Joe Watkins signing out.